Hi, Joe here from Shutter Speak Photography. So, yeah, I did this in quarantine, broke my elbow. So, I figured for today's tutorial, I'd have to do something that I can do with one hand. And because we're in quarantine anyway, something that's fun to do again with an old photo that you can take from your collection and you can do while you're indoors in quarantine or if you have a broken elbow. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop and I have this scene up of a lighthouse and I'm going to show you today how to take this lighthouse photo and turn it into a painting or what looks like a painting in Photoshop without the use of any external or third-party plugins that you would have to buy that are for sale to do this type of thing. It's fairly straightforward to do, and if I can do it with one hand, so can you. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is I have open here a image from my collection. Again, it's a lighthouse, but if you look up here, you'll notice that this RGB/16. Okay, so what that's telling me is this photo is RGB color and it's 16-bit. 16-bit is the color depth. That's the number of colors that Photoshop is using to make up this particular image, the color space, if you will, okay? And what we're going to do requires us to make a modification. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to Control J to duplicate the layer. Let's try that again. Control J. There we go. We now have a duplicated layer, and I'm going to go into Image, Mode, and now I'm going to lower the color depth to 8 bits per channel. Okay, there we go. And now we can use the filter, okay, that we're going to use here in Photoshop to create the painting, that painting effect. Now, just so you know, I'm using this as a smart object. If your image was not a smart object, you could just right-click on it and then say Convert to Smart Object. This already is a smart object, but if you don't see this little symbol right here indicating that you're using a smart object, please go ahead and do that now. Right-click and Convert to a smart object, okay? So what that does for us is that gives us the ability to alter the filters that we apply after we apply them. Okay, so it's a non-destructive way of editing, and it allows us to go back and make changes. Okay, so now that we have this dropped down to 8-bit color depth, let's go up here to Filter, and then take a look for Filter Gallery. Okay, and if it's grayed out, that's because you are not in 8-bit color. Okay, so click on Filter Gallery, and it's going to open up, and I'm going to get rid of these filters. Okay, I'm just going to fit that. Okay, so the first filter that we have up on the screen here is Dry Brush. Okay, and it's always going to open up with one filter applied. You see, I can't delete this filter. Okay, but dry brush is one of the filters that we do want to apply, and you can see right away it's already made some changes to the image. So I've gone ahead and played with this, and actually the brush size of 2, detail of 8, and texture of 1 I liked. Okay, so when I was experimenting with this earlier, those were the settings that I had used, and they're left in place by Photoshop. The nice thing about this particular filter gallery is that we can stack filters in here. And to do that, we just need to go down to the plus and click on the plus sign. You'll see it says New Effect Layer. And click on that. And I'm going to change this one now to Angled Strokes, which is here in Brush Strokes. Okay. And I'm going to set this direction balance is 50. That's the direction that the strokes are going, and that's fine. Stroke length I want to be actually at 33, and the sharpness of 3. Again, Photoshop's remembered all my settings from last time around. So the stroke length, let me show you what that does. You bring that down, that makes short brush strokes. Okay, bring it up, makes longer strokes. I liked it somewhere over here around 33, 34. Okay. And there we go. Now the next one that I want to stack on this is going to be watercolor, and that's right here. Okay. And I'm going to drop the shadow intensity down to 0 to open up the shadows. I like brush detail at 9 and texture 1. That looks good. Again, I'll just show you what brush detail does. And you can see the progress bar down here. I have a pretty fast CPU, so these changes take effect pretty quickly, and you see it. But if your computer is slower, you'll just look down there and you'll see that progress bar. So you'll know that the computer's still working on applying those changes. So that looks pretty good to me. Shadow intensity, what this does is it opens up or darkens the shadows. So I want to open them up all the way in this watercolor effect. And I'm going to add one more on top of this. So I'm going to add the sponge effect on top of this. Okay, and now the brush size for this, I'm going to bring all the way up to 8. And it's going to make all these dots just much bigger. And I'm going to bring the definition down to 2. Okay, you see how that's just kind of blending everything together. And then I'm going to bring the smoothness on this up to 12. Okay. And you see that progress bar just finished up. And at this point, I'm kind of liking the way this looks. Okay, and you can go ahead and continue to add different filters from within here. You've seen the distort panel, the sketch panel, stylize, or texture. There's the stained glass is one that could be fun. Let's throw that on there. Change that to stained glass. Okay, here with this, we can change the cell size and give it that stained glass effect. I mean, that could be fun. Change the thickness of the tiles and how the light plays through on this. Maybe a little bit darker would look nice. Okay, and if you don't like that, just hit delete. That brings us back to where we were. So you can go ahead and layer on a ton of these different effects. I kind of liked the way this image looked with these 4 applied, and it does give a nice painterly effect. So what we're going to do now is click OK. Okay, and now here we are back within our main editing panel of Photoshop, and you see here, because we're working with a smart object now, we can go right back here to Filter Gallery. We can double click it and right back to where all of our settings were, and we can modify or change anything that we wanted to at this point. There it goes. And cancel that. It also has a mask, so we could brush part of this out by painting on black with black on this mask if we didn't want it at a certain spot of the image. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take the opacity of this paint layer, and I'm going to allow us to see that bottom photograph layer a little bit more. So I'm going to turn down the opacity to make this a little less intense. So I'll bring it down to, let's say, about 60%. Okay, and that really now softens the painterly effect, and we're seeing a little bit of the photograph below with this effect layered over on top. So that's the before, and that's the after. Now you can see we could bring this way down and just soften the image up. We could make it as intense as we wanted to just by changing the opacity. I kind of liked it right around 60, I think. I think that gave it a real nice look and really made it feel like a painted image. I think it looks nice there, and I'm pretty happy with that. And from there, maybe I'd bring this back to Lightroom and maybe apply a little vignetting or something along those lines. But if not, if you liked it the way it was, you could pretty much end it right about there. So there you have it. So hope you found this one-handed tutorial helpful. Something to have some fun with some of your old pictures. Works great on portraits. This will work great with any landscape photos that you have. Again, it's something that you can do in quarantine or one-handed. Okay, so have some fun with this. Let me know in the comments what you thought. And if you liked this video and you found it helpful, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notifications of future videos. Also, leave me a comment and let me know what your thoughts were. And since this channel is still pretty new, you could really help me out by hitting that subscribe button. I really would appreciate that. Maybe just feel bad for me for the cast. So I'll take the sympathy vote also. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.